So in this slide what you can see is the ternary phase diagram. Okay, so let us try to understand, okay, this ternary phase diagram. So you can see it is a triangle. Okay, so at one corner of triangle we say there is a oil in the upward of the triangle. On left hand side corner we call it as a water, and right hand side we call it as a surfactant. So basically this figure, okay, represents three corners of oil, surfactant and water. Okay, and if you keep constant water and change the concentration of surfactant and oil, then you will get one phase, that is L2. Okay, if you keep vary the water and surfactant, okay, then you will get and if you keep oil as a constant, then you will get another kind of regions. Okay, so likewise you are able to uh, understand in which region which type of micelle is going to form. So this phase diagram represent that any point inside the triangle represent the concentration of oil, surfactant and water. The highlighted region, it means the gray region. Okay, for example L1, L2, okay, D. Okay, so these kind of regions demonstrate that there is a formation of particular type of micellar. Okay, as an example, L1 region represent formation of normal micellar. Normal means oil is inside and water is outside. Okay, so the concentration of oil is low, so O oblique W is the kind of a micellar, which we call this as a normal micellar. L2 region, what you can see is represent where there is a formation of reverse micellar. Okay, this means that if you are interested to make reverse micellar, then you need to restrict the concentration of oil, water and surfactant in the region L2 only. So you can take any point in the region of L2, and if you take the corresponding concentration of water, surfactant and oil, then what the final product you are getting is the reverse micelle. Okay, so this is a called as an phase diagram. Okay, so basically here you are controlling all three concentrations, okay, of oil, water and surfactant, and you are trying to find a special regions where you will find formation of different types of micelle. You can see one more region in the center of L1 and L2, where you can see that in that gray region there is a formation of bicontinuous micelle. Okay, there is a formation of bicontinuous micelle. Okay, so these are the ways by which we can gather the data, and when you do all such kind of data and when you compile in one figure, then what you are getting is in the form of a phase diagram. So this is a phase diagram for oil, water and surfactant as a ternary phase. As far as surfactant is concerned, the concentration of surfactant plays an important role in the formation of micelle. Okay, so you can see there is a figure in the downward of this phase diagram, okay, where it represents the influence of surfactant concentration on the structures at the water and oil interface. Okay, so you can see on the left hand side the concentration of surfactant is low, so where you can see that they are individual adsorb. Okay, basically they self assemble, but their concentration is too low so that they remain individual. While if you slightly increase the concentration of surfactant, you realize that there is a hemi-micellar structure. If you further increase the concentration of surfactant, there is a planar bilayer structure is formed, which is also you can see all these are examples of self-assembly. Okay, and if the concentration is sufficiently high, then what you are getting is micellar structure, and depending upon the concentration of oil and water, there is a formation of normal micellar or reverse micellar. So if you are interested in more in-depth information about this ternary phase diagram, then you can refer to this paper which is published by Garati et al., and they have published it in the journal Soft Matter in the year 2005, volume 1, and the page number is 206. Now let us try to understand how the micelles form. So one fundamental property of the surfactant is to adsorb at the interfaces with the process of self-assembly. So we are well familiar with the self-assembly process, and this is the beauty of surfactant, that they started to self-assemble and at the interface. Okay, and they reduces the surface tension. So when sufficient amount of surfactant is dissolved in water, the surfactant molecules from colloidal clusters or droplets, they are called as micelles. So that is what we have shown in the last diagram, that the amount of surfactant which we are adding into the water or into the oil is an important task. So when sufficient amount of surfactant is present in water, then these surfactant molecules form colloidal crystals or droplets, and these colloidal crystals, clusters or droplets are nothing but the micelles, and there is a process of formation of micelles is known as micellization. Okay, so this process of formation of micelle is called as a micellization. Okay, so micellization is a process in which the surfactants self assemble together, okay, at the interface of water and oil to form a droplet or to form a colloidal cluster. So that process is called as a micellization. The number of surfactant molecules in a micelle is known as aggregation number. Okay, how many surfactant molecules are present in a micelle? So basically it also depends upon the size of the micelle. Okay, what is the diameter of the micelle, okay, or the structure of the micelle. Okay, so that number of surfactant molecules is called as aggregation number. These clusters can have a wide variety of shape. Okay, so it is not like every time the micellars are spherical in shape. Okay, it has a wide variety of shape such as spherical, cylindrical and laminar as shown in the figure. So for your imagination, we have shown the micelles of various types in the below schematic image, where you can see there is a spherical micelle, there is a cylindrical micelle, and there is a laminar micelle. And as you know that this is the different types of micelles are possible to synthesize. The size and shape of the micelles depend on the properties of the solution, such as the concentration of electrolyte and pH of the solution. Okay, so they are also playing an important role in the uh, shape, to control the shape and size of my cell. So what are the important parameters? The concentration of the electrolyte and the pH of the solution. So the concentration at which the formation of micelle begin is known as critical micelle concentration. Okay, so this is a CMC. Okay, so the minimum amount of concentration which is required to form, to generate a micelle is called as critical micelle concentration. Okay, below that, if you supply the concentration, then there is no formation of micelle. The surfactant molecules join and leave the micelle very rapidly. Okay, so you can see the process is not like okay, very slow. Okay, you can see that the process is very fast. It is in the range of 10 raised to minus 6 seconds. Okay, it means it is in the range of microsecond. Okay, so what you can see is the surfactant molecules join and leave the micelle very rapidly. So the typical lifetime of water molecule in the micelle is about 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. Okay, so this is a particular case where you can recognize that this process is very fast. Okay, and therefore it is necessary to use certain parameters, for example the critical micelle concentration, okay, the concentration of electrolyte, the pH of the solution, the concentration of oil, water, okay, and surfactants. So all these parameters matter a lot for the formation of the micelle. Types and packing parameter of micelle. Okay, so as far as the types are concerned, we have already discussed that there are depending upon the shape, okay, there are different types of micelle, which is spherical, cylindrical, laminar. Okay, so these are the types of micelle, and normal micelle, and the last one is the reverse micelle. So these are the types of micelle. So if it is a normal micelle, then we don't call it, it is generally normal, we just call it as a micelle. But if it is a reverse micelle, then we specifically need to mention the name reverse micelle. Okay, the structure of micelle is characterized by packing parameter, okay, which is defined as V upon A into L. Okay, and it is shown in the figure. Now if we want to calculate the packing parameter of micelle, then we are going to use a formula which is nothing but V upon A into L. Now here V is the volume occupied by hydrophobic group in the micellar core. Okay, now you can see on the right hand side there is a schematic image in the upper corner of the slide, where you can see that there is a head group repulsion, so they keep some certain distance and stabilize in on their position, whereas there is a hydrophobic attraction is also there, so these forces balance each other and they get stabilized on the in the micelle. Okay, now if we want to calculate this volume, okay, area and length, then we have to particularly take care for that surfactant which we have used. Okay, so V is the volume occupied by hydrophobic group. So you can see that is shown on the right hand side image, where a surfactant is a single surfactant is shown, and where you can see that the volume which is occupied by this TEL, okay, occupied by this hydrophilic group of surfactant is represented in the form of a cone, and you can calculate its volume as V. Okay, that is the chain volume. Now L is the length of the hydrophobic group in the micellar core. Okay, so what is the length? That is L, and the hydrophilic group, and A is the optimal cross sectional area occupied by the hydrophilic group at the micelle solution interface. So basically, for the packing parameter of micelle, you need to know these parameters, okay, and that parameters are depending upon the type of surfactant which you are going to use for the formation of the micelle. The optimal area occupied by the hydrophilic group at the surface of the micelle A depends on the structure of the group, right? Which type of group is attached to the surfactant, okay? Basically, it is going to decide the A. Electrolyte concentration, pH, and presence of any additives such as alcohol in the solution. So all these parameters is basically can change the value of A. When the value of the packing parameter exceeds unity, some surfactants form reverse micelle in nonpolar media. Okay. However, if you calculate the value of packing parameter, that is V upon AL, and if it comes in the range of 0 to 1 by 3, then the shape of the micelle, you can assume that it is spherical. Okay, so mathematically also we can identify, depending upon the value of packing parameter, we can identify the shape of the micelle. Second is, if the value of packing parameter is in the range of 1 by 3 to 1 half, then you can see that it is a cylindrical. The micelle which is formed is cylindrical in shape. Okay, when the packing parameter is 0.5 to 1, then the shape of the micelle is laminar. Okay, and when it is greater than 1, then you of course have a reverse micelle. So the surfactant molecules assemble in structure in which the head groups are oriented inwards and hydrophilic groups are oriented outwards the solvent. So it depends upon whether there is a formation of micelle or reverse micelle. Depending upon that, their head and tail arrangement is get reversed. So these are the this is called as the packing parameter of micelle. Now this is an important slide, because now you have understood what is a micelle, what are different types of micelle, okay, what is the difference between microemulsion and macroemulsion, okay, what is the critical what is the phase diagram of this micelle, okay, and what are the types and packing parameter of micelle. Now once you understand about the micelle everything, now we are interested in the synthesis of nanomaterials. Now how we can use these micelles for the synthesis of nanomaterials, okay, that is what we are trying to understand in this slide. So basically we are going to take an example of reverse microemulsion technique to synthesize the nanoparticles. Okay, just for simplicity, okay, we are trying to use the reverse microemulsion route to synthesize the nanoparticles. Now in general there are two microemulsion routes. Okay, so there are two types of ways by which we are able to synthesize the nanoparticles by using the reverse micelle technique. The first one is called as a 1 microemulsion method, and second is called as 2 microemulsion method. Okay, so just to differentiate the two different processes, we give 1 microemulsion method and 2 microemulsion method. Okay, so for example, let us try to understand what is 1 microemulsion method for the synthesis of nanoparticles. So you can see that 1 microemulsion method, so that is the case 1. Okay, so the first, in the first case 1, the basically the 1 microemulsion method, in the 1 microemulsion method, again there are two ways for the synthesis of nanoparticles. In that case, one is the reaction triggering method, okay, and case 2 is 1 microemulsion plus reactant method, okay. So this is easy to understand with the help of this schematic diagram, okay. So suppose you have a microemulsion with reactant A, okay. So we have a microemulsion with reactant A, okay. So in case 1, what you can do is you can provide energy for triggering agent to initiate the nucleation reaction within single microemulsion containing the precursor, okay. Means what? So we have microemulsion with reactant A, and in that suppose we add some triggering agent. So that triggering agent, what is the role of triggering agent, is to initiate the reaction inside the micelle, okay. So what you can see is there is a micelles, okay, and inside the micelle, okay, there is some red colored solution is there, okay, and what is there? There is a reactant A, okay, the reactant A is there, okay. So here you have to keep in mind that this is a reverse micelle, means in reverse micelle the water is inside the micelle and oil is outside the micelle. This is the situation, okay. Now in that water there is a reactant A is present, okay, which is represented with the yellow dots, okay. And if we add some triggering agent, then what happens? These triggering agent initiates the nucleation process, and the nanoparticles are get formed inside the nanoreactor or inside the micelle. So these micelles are also called as the nanoreactors, okay. So this is the one way, okay, where we are using with the triggering agents, and with the help of triggering agents we are able to synthesize the nanoparticles, okay. In the second case of 1 microemulsion method, what we can do is we already have microemulsion with reactant A. Now let us add reactant B, okay. So reactant B is a solution in the form of a solution. So what we are going to do is we are going to add this microemulsion with reactant A in the reactant B. Then what happens? The first thing will happen is that there is a diffusion of reactant B across microemulsion interface. So reactant B will diffuse inside the nanoreactor through the interface of the microemulsion, okay. Once it diffuse, okay, then what happens? The next step is it react. So it diffuse and then react with the reactant A, okay. So this case is a case number 2, where adding of one reactant directly into the microemulsion already carrying the second reactant. So the second reactant is get diffused into the nanoreactor, and it start the chemical reaction, and there is a formation of the nanoparticles, okay. So that is shown in this schematic image. The both the ways are represented in this schematic image, okay. So 1 microemulsion process are diffusion controlled, since the second trigger reactant has to diffuse through the interfacial wall of the microemulsion, encapsulating the first reactant to accomplish the nanoparticle synthesis, okay. So these are the diffusion controlled, okay, or reaction triggered agent is used, and with the help of these two ways we are able to synthesize the nanoparticles, okay, which is encapsulated with the surfactants. So for more details about this reaction and different uh, different for more discussion about this can be found in the source where there is a paper than at L which is published in RSC Advances, and it is published in 2015. The volume number is 5 and the page number is 105003. Okay, so now let us try to understand what is 2 microemulsion method. So this is a 2 microemulsion method where it is easy to understand that where we, in this case we call this as a 2 microemulsion method because we have two solutions of microemulsion. So we have microemulsion with reactant A, okay, and we have microemulsion with reactant B. Okay, so we have two microemulsions separately. Okay, microemulsion with reactant A and microemulsion with reactant B. Okay, and then what we are going to do is we are going to add them together. Okay, once we add them together, then there is a collision and coalescence of droplets followed by intermicellar exchange process. Okay, so this happens, okay, because we have added them together. So there is a collision. First they collide to each other and then the coalescence is take place, and when there is a coalescence of take place, okay, it is because of intercellular exchange process. So that we will try to understand how it has been done. And because the reactant A and reactant B, okay, they mix together, okay, inside the micelle, because the micelle with reactant A is now in exchange with micelle with reactant B, and because of that there is a reaction is carried out between A and B, and there is a chemical reaction is carried out, and with the because of that there is a molecular nucleation and growth process initiated, resulting in the formation of the nanoparticles. So in 2 microemulsion method, the 2 microemulsions carrying the separate reactants are mixed together in appropriate ratios. Okay, if the elemental ratio in the final product is 1:1, then you have to add 1:1. If it is 1:2, then you have to add reactant A in 1 molar and reactant 2 in 2 molar. Okay, so you have to take that precaution of concentration to get your final product. The Brownian motion of the micelles helps them because they are in the liquid, right? They are in the solution. Okay, so there is a Brownian motion, right? So the Brownian motion of micelle helps them to approach each other, okay, resulting in intermicellar collision. Okay, so two micelles they collide to each other because both are in the have their own Brownian motion zigzag path in the solution. Okay, and because of that they collide each other, and sufficiently energetic collision leads to mixing of the micellar components. Okay, once both the reactant comes in the same micellar compartment, the chemical reaction take place in this nanoreactor. Okay, so we call this, because now you can see now the reaction is not happening outside the micelle. The reaction, the nucleation and all the growth process of the nanoparticle is going inside the micelle. So we call this as a nanoreactor. Okay, so once both the reactants come in the same micellar compartment, the chemical reaction take place in this nanoreactor. As the critical number of molecules attained inside the micelle, it initiates the nucleation process and results in nanoparticle formation. Okay, so not in the first initial reaction, immediately there is a nucleation. So it depends upon it's a number. So minimum number is required for the formation of nucleation, and then the growth processes take place. Numerous intermicellar collisions are needed for the sufficient reactant exchange, their mixing, and finally their reaction to terminate the end product. So what is expected is that maximum number of micelles of reactant A and reactant B, they should collide with each other. Okay, and if the number is higher, then the chances of getting the final product, expected product, is very high. So here is an important process which we need to understand, okay, because we use a special terminology here which is called as the intermicellar exchange process. So let us try to understand what is the importance of this intermicellar exchange when two microemulsions are coming together. Okay, so there is a uh, old paper in 1987, okay, by Feicher, okay, et al., and he has published his work in Journal of Chemical Society Faraday Transaction. The volume number is 83 and probably the page number is 985. Okay, so in that paper he has given a model that how what is the process of this micellar exchange is take place. Okay, so what you can see in the right hand side upper image, okay, is a model. Okay, so in this model what you can see, first there is a one circle plus another circle. Okay, so this is a micellar 1 with reactant A, and second is a micellar 2 with reactant B. Okay, so we have added together. Okay, so there is a plus sign, and then what you can see is there is a reversible arrow. Okay, so the K is the kinetic rate. Okay, kinetic rate. So the kinetic energy, you can say, so either the system can give the kinetic energy, okay, and then what happens, it encounter a pair, okay, and so the initial process of collision is fast. Okay, so we have written below the arrow as fast. Okay, between when we add the two micelles which was separate and then we add together, then what happens, the collision is fast, and then they encounter a pair. Once they encounter a pair, then the next process, okay, to get the complete fused dimer is a slow process, is a slow process. Okay, so that is what an important thing is, that the collision between the reactant A and reactant B is faster, but once they come together, collide together, and once they start to join together for exchange of reactant A and reactant B, that process is slow, and that is very important because there is a process of formation of the nanoparticle. So that is get controlled with this slow rate, and once the reaction is complete, then what you have a final product is in the form of a fused dimer, inside a fused dimer. So let us try to understand in terms of this kinetic rate. So K represent the kinetic rate. Okay, Kex represent the kinetic exchange rate. Okay, exchange of reactant A with reactant B. So what is that rate? Or exchange of reactant B with reactant A. Okay, so this is an exchange rate. So how the two micelles, they are exchanging their reactants. So this is Kex. The next point is Kr. Okay, what is Kr? Kr represent kinetic reaction rate. Okay, they are exchanging. Okay, so Kex represent the exchange rate of reactants, and Kr is basically represent the kinetic reaction rate, by which rate they are reacting with each other. Okay, and the next fourth K is K fuse, KFUS. Okay, that basically represent kinetic rate of fusion. Okay, fusion of micellar 1 and micellar 2 to get a fused dimer, fused micellar. Okay, so if you know now what is this case, K, KEX, KR, K fuse, then let us try to understand, based on the rate of K exchange to KR, how it is going to help in the formation of the material. Now I have taken two special cases where their case A is there, where you can see that K exchange, KEX, is much higher than KR. Okay, what it indicates? It indicates that the exchange is very high but reaction is very low. Exchange is very high, it is exchanging reactant A and reactant B with a very high speed, but they are not reacting very fastly, they are reacting very slowly. If this is the case, then the reaction proceeds like in the bulk. Now, this is what happening in the bulk, right? We are just adding reactant A and reactant B. So once we add, immediately what happens, we add it, but it takes a long time to react. Okay, and what we are getting at the end product is in the form of a bulk. So it is a big kind of a material. Okay, if K exchange, okay, is much less than Kr, okay, it means exchange of reactant A and exchange of reactant B, okay, in the micellar interface. Okay, if the rate is slow, exchange rate is slow, but their reaction is faster as compared to exchange. If this is the case, then the reaction happens in the fused diameter. Okay, so this is an important task, where whether you are getting multiple nanoparticles in a fused diameter, or whether you are getting single nanoparticle in a fused diameter, okay, fused dimer, is depends upon this K exchange and K reaction rates, exchange and reaction rates. So these two rates basically control whether there is a formation of one particle inside the nanoreactor, or whether there is a formation of multiple particles inside a nanoreactor. Okay, so that you have to control, so that you are able to prepare the nanoparticles inside the nanoreactor. The film curvature is also plays a very important role. Okay, so the film curvature formed in the fused dimer affects the K exchange. Okay, so if film curvature is low, okay, so you can see that is shown in the right hand side image, schematic image, where the two micelles, uh, they are collided and fused together, coalescence, and then they start to exchange the reactant A and reactant B. But so you can see there is a curvature. Okay, film curvature is shown by an arrow. Okay, and we are talking about that film curvature. So that if that film curvature is low as shown, then what happens? K exchange is higher, right? Because it is giving more space, so lot of reactant A and reactant B immediately exchange with each other, and because of that there is a formation of a single particle can take place. If film curvature is high, okay, suppose the film curvature is high, means more deeply this curvature is, okay, then what happens, the K exchange is low and reaction happens in the fused diameter. Okay, so this film curvature is basically is going to change. Okay, so how they collide to each other and their coalescence is taking place, depending upon that. Okay, the film curvature is depends. Okay, so depending upon the momentum of collision and the momentum of collision, what happens, the curvature of the film curvature is depends. So this, that is also playing an important role in the micellar exchange, and then there is a formation of nanoparticle in the nano reactor. As an example, let us try to understand the synthesis of gold nanoparticles by reverse micelle method, because now you are aware about how can you synthesize something with the help of reverse micelle. Okay, so let us try to understand it is in actual practical exam. Now here you can see that we selected the water to surfactant ratio, that is 10 for the preparation of two reverse micelle solution. So now we have two reverse micellar solution. Okay, one containing the gold salt precursor. So you can see that is shown in the schematic, where inside there is a gold plus 3 ions are there. Okay, and we have another micelle which contains the potassium sulfate. Okay, so when we, what is the first case, we have to add them together. When we add them together, then what happens, there is a collision because of the Brownian motion of these individual micelle. Once they collide, then what happens, there is a coalescence take place, and once there is a coalescence, then the intermicellar exchange process initiates. Once that process initiates, then what you can see is there is a formation of a gold nanoparticles inside the micelle. Okay, inside the micelle, and the reaction details, what you can see is the micro emulsion with SO3 2 minus was added dropwise to the micro emulsion prepared with gold 3 plus under magnetic stirring. Okay, so we did do in this way, and because of the intermicellar exchange process between the reverse micelle, the reduction of gold from an ionic gold 3 plus to atomic state gold 0 is achieved inside the water droplets according to the chemical reaction. So two molecules of two atoms of AU3 plus, two ions of AU3 plus, plus three ions of three molecules of SO3 2 minus, plus three molecules of H2O gives rise to two atoms of gold plus three molecules of SO4 2 minus plus 6 H plus. Okay, so this is the chemical reaction. This reaction is basically take place inside the micellar, inside the nano reactor. Okay, and if you see the image, a TM image of these gold nanoparticles, then you can see that they are in the range of 10-15 nanometer in the diameter. Okay, and for more information about this synthesis of gold nanoparticles by reverse micelle method, you can try to see this, look at this paper, which is written by Herrera et al. In the journal Nanotechnology, volume is 16. In the, they have published it in the year 2005, and the page number is S618. Apart from this, okay, I already given you they are very useful in large number of applications, but as I said, nowadays they are very popular because these reverse micellars are are playing a very important role in the nanobiosensor. Okay, so as an example, you can see here that the micellars are there, and because they can act as a nano reactor, in this case you can use them as a nano carrier. Okay, so there is no reaction is going to happen inside this reverse micelle, but these reverse micelles, inside these reverse micelles, you can insert some materials like bioacceptors. If you use bioacceptors like enzymes, antibody, aptamer, and you insert them inside a micellar, if you drop cast them, then you can also use them as a biosensor. Okay, so they can also act as a biosensor because you are adding bioacceptors inside the micelle. Okay, and when you make a drop cast and when you make a film, then that film you can use as a biosensor. On the other hand, if you don't want to use a bioacceptor, you can also use some other carbon nanomaterials like carbon allotropes like carbon nanotubes, graphene. Such kind of material you can also insert inside the uh, micelle, and then if you make a thin film out of it, you can also use them as a nanosensor. So you can go to this paper if you want to read more about such kind of applications. Then Arsen et al. He has published his work in the processes very recently, 2000 in 21. The volume is 9 and the page number is 345. Okay, similarly I found that there is another paper, in the same paper they have also shown how you are able to use this reverse micelle for delivery of systems. You can use them as a carrier, you can use them as a deliver agents. Okay, so for example, you have a micellar, and if you insert it, you can insert many things in the micellar like insulin, you can add drug. Okay, you can add some natural biomedical agents, you can give such kind of things, okay, inside the micellar. And then you can also attach some kind of fluorescent dye, but it is not inside the micelle. You can attach to the tails of the micelle. You can put some fluorescent dye or targeting molecules, and with the help of that you can do some in vitro studies. So in vitro studies, in preclinical studies, you can do on animals like a mouse, and then once it is successful, then you can do it in vivo clinical studies. Okay, so they are beneficial in the sense that they can carry these nanoparticles to their respective position. Okay, so that you are able to use them as a delivery system. Okay, so that is also kind of a application which is discussed in the same paper. Okay, so those who are interested in more about this applications of micellar, so I recommend them to go for this paper, and you will find many more things about this. So we will stop here now, and we will see our next point, sol gel, in the next lecture. Thank you.